When we usually think about starting a new venture, or like a traditional offline business, the image we have in our heads is, it's somewhat orderly,
Oh, yeah,
almost like planting a garden. You prepare the soil, you plant the seed, you water it, and then, well, you just wait.
right. It's very logical.
Exactly. It's this very linear progression. It's based on cause, effect, and time.
You put in that foundational work, you cultivate it, and you can literally just watch the results grow at a very natural, predictable pace.
But then you decide to step into the world of online business today, and suddenly that peaceful garden is just completely gone.
Oh, completely obliterated.
It's like you're dropped out of a helicopter directly onto a hyper-caffeinated stock exchange trading floor.
That is exactly what it feels like.
Everyone is screaming, the numbers are flashing red and green, the floor is vibrating, and you're just standing there holding your little packet of seeds wondering, what on earth just happened?
That intense disorientation, I mean, that is essentially the defining characteristic of the modern digital economy. And the source document we are analyzing today for this deep dive argues that this chaos, it's actually largely by design.
Really, by design.
Yeah. So we're looking at a framework called the Senior Entrepreneur Hub, or SEH,
Right.
and the document outlines this radically calm approach to starting an online business, which is built specifically for people over the age of 55.
Which is a huge demographic.
Massive. But the thing is, the psychological mechanics of how this framework dismantles that modern hustle culture, well, they're universally applicable.
Because we all feel it.
Exactly. I mean, anyone who has ever felt a spike of panic just, opening their email inbox or scrolling through business advice online, they're going to find the architecture of the system deeply relevant.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really understand the mechanics of what the Senior Entrepreneur Hub has built, we first need to look closely at the exact environment it was engineered to counteract, right?
Right. The baseline.
Yeah, the baseline. The source document refers to this digital environment as the quiet reality.
I love that term.
It's so good. It's the stark, hidden contrast to those loud, flashy success stories that are just constantly dominating our social media feeds.
The quiet reality captures that invisible friction perfectly. Because behind the screens, away from those curated posts of people, working from their laptops on pristine beaches.
With a coconut drinking
Yeah,
angle.
exactly. Away from all that, there's this massive demographic of highly capable people feeling incredibly uncertain.
Yeah.
The document breaks down this digital ecosystem into a very specific, almost toxic cocktail. You've got severe information overload, relentless psychological pressure, and then completely conflicting advice from these so-called gurus.
Plus the endless hype.
Just endless.
And the document explicitly notes that the biological and psychological result of processing this cocktail is inevitable emotional exhaustion.
You literally just burn out before you even start.
Right. Picture what this actually looks like in practice. It's like walking into a massive, incredibly crowded bazaar just to buy a simple loaf of bread. Suddenly, 100 merchants surround you, and they are shouting completely contradictory directions at you through megaphones.
Right. Buy this. No, buy that.
Exactly. Go left. No, go right. If you don't go right immediately, you'll lose everything. Buy this map. No, that map is a scam. Buy my compass.
It's terrifying.
The natural human response in that scenario isn't to make a confident purchase.
No, of course not.
The natural response is total decision paralysis.
You freeze. You just completely
What?
freeze. And what's fascinating here is that the source makes this profound revelation about the mechanics of that exact moment of paralysis.
Yeah.
It states unequivocally that people are not failing in the online space because they lack intelligence.
That's a huge point.
It is. They are simply buckling under the weight of contradiction and cognitive overload. Like, when the human brain is bombarded with high-stakes, conflicting information, the working memory simply crashes.
Wow.
It's very much like a computer trying to run too many complex programs all at the same time.
Which creates a devastating internal narrative, especially for the demographic this document targets. I mean, think about it.
Right.
Imagine a smart, capable person, someone who has run a successful offline business or managed a team for 30 years or, successfully raised a whole family.
They know how to handle themselves.
Exactly. But they step into this digital bazaar, they freeze up, and their immediate assumption is that the problem lies with them.
Because high-functioning individuals are so accustomed to being competent in their everyday environments.
Right.
So when they can't figure out which way is up online, their internal monologue immediately turns to, oh, I must be too old for this, or I'm just not tech-savvy enough.
I'm the problem.
Exactly. But the SEH document forcefully rejects that premise. It argues that you aren't failing a test of your own intelligence.
So what's actually happening?
Your brain is reacting exactly as it should to a chaotic, contradictory environment that's literally designed to overwhelm your critical thinking.
Designed to overwhelm.
Yeah. When cortisol levels spike because you feel threatened or pressured, blood flow literally shifts away from the prefrontal cortex, which is, the logical decision-making part of your brain,
Right.
and it moves toward the amygdala, which controls your fight or flight response.
Oh, wow. So it's a physical reaction.
It's biological. You physically cannot process complex new business strategies when your brain thinks it's under attack.
It is a biological override, not a lack of brain power. That is so validating to hear.
Huge relief, right.
Yeah. And the founder of SEH used this exact understanding of cognitive overload to build a completely different structure based on their decades of real-world business experience.
Well, the document points out that having long-term experience in traditional business allows you to spot those destructive patterns happening online.
Okay, what kind of patterns?
The most damaging pattern identified in the text is the industry-wide habit of pressuring people into making serious financial or business commitments long before they have achieved even basic comprehension of the landscape.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Because the entire modern economy seems built on the exact opposite of a calm approach. I mean, the Silicon Valley mantra is literally move fast and break things.
Right. Everyone knows that one.
So if I'm taking this measured, evaluation-first approach to starting my online business, aren't my competitors just going to blow past me and steal my market share?
Yeah.
The internet heavily rewards speed.
See, that's the illusion. The internet rewards scale, but it heavily penalizes premature scaling.
Okay, explain that.
That move fast and break things philosophy. It was originally designed for software engineers pushing code updates on back-end servers.
Right, not for normal people.
Exactly. It was not meant for individuals staking their retirement savings on an unfamiliar business model.
That makes a lot of sense.
The document actually counters this demand for speed by exposing it as a manufactured tactic. Hustle culture uses false urgency.
Like those countdown timers.
Yes. Countdown timers, limited time offers, artificial scarcity, all of that is used specifically to bypass your critical thinking.
To keep your amygdala firing.
Exactly. Marketers want you to move fast, so you literally do not have the time to let your prefrontal cortex evaluate the massive risk you are taking.
It's the equivalent of a real estate agent trying to force you to sign a 10-year commercial lease on a massive restaurant space, hire a full staff, and buy industrial ovens.
Oh, gosh.
Before you've even figured out if you know how to boil an egg.
That is a perfect analogy.
The speed only benefits the person selling you the ovens.
Spot on. And that perfectly illustrates the danger of jumping to the commitment phase before the comprehension phase.
Yeah.
So the source text asserts that refusing to manufacture this artificial urgency is where a company's, and I quote, integrity becomes visible.
Visible integrity. I like that phrase.
It's not just a buzzword for an About Us page. It is a measurable operational standard. You demonstrate your integrity by structurally refusing to use manipulative, high-pressure tactics.
Even though those tactics work for quick sales.
Even when they are proven to generate quick revenue and are considered industry standard.
Because you are building a system that structurally respects the user's agency and, their biological need for time to process information.
Yes.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the SEH framework enforces this visible integrity through a very specific mantra.
Oh, the mantra is brilliant.
It really is. The mantra is clarity before commitment, evaluation before action.
Clarity before commitment, evaluation before action. I mean, this completely inverts the standard online marketing playbook.
Totally upside down.
Because that playbook universally pushes commit right now, buy the system, and we'll figure out the clarity later.
Yeah, figure it out on the fly. So to make that mantra a reality, the document outlines the 4 standards.
The structural pillars.
Right. These are the structural pillars of the SEH framework.
Yeah.
And they are education first, reversible decisions, human support, and psychological safety.
The text really implies we need to understand the mechanics of how these actually function to see why the whole system works.
Right. Let's break them down. Let's look at the first standard, Education first.
So education first functions as the ultimate defense against that digital bazaar we talked about.
How so?
Well, in most online models, education is hidden behind a paywall. You only get to see the map after you buy it.
Oh, yeah. Pay me $2,000 and I'll tell you the secret.
Exactly. But SCH operates on the principle that you cannot accurately evaluate an opportunity if you don't understand the ecosystem it exists within.
Makes total sense.
By prioritizing education before asking for any commitment, the system actively lowers the user's cognitive load.
So you aren't freaking out.
Right. You aren't constantly evaluating whether you are being scammed. You are simply mapping the territory.
Which leads directly into the mechanics of the second standard, which is reversible decisions.
This one is huge.
It really is. Because when you are learning an entirely new skill set, especially one that involves technology and financial investment,
Oh, yeah. The stakes feel sky high.
the terror of making a catastrophic, unfixable mistake is just paralyzing.
Yeah.
You are terrified of hitting the wrong button and accidentally spending $1,000 on the wrong advertising campaign.
Or locking yourself into like a year-long software contract that you don't even actually need yet.
Yes. So the mechanism of reversible decisions is about systematically lowering the stakes of failure.
Exactly. If we look at how adults learn, the fear of irreversible consequences completely shuts down neuroplasticity.
Because your brain is in threat mode.
Right. SEH builds an environment where testing the waters is actively encouraged. It is the architectural difference between buying a one-way, non-refundable ticket to a new country versus booking a weekend trip with free cancellation.
Oh, I love that comparison. The weekend trip feels so much safer.
Because it is. And when the brain knows it can back out without severe penalty, the anxiety drops and curiosity can finally take over.
That brings us to the third standard, which is human support.
Yeah, vital.
In the digital age, isolation is a massive, unseen variable. Starting an online business from your living room is incredibly lonely.
So lonely.
And when you hit a technological snag or you can't figure out a platform, interacting with an automated chatbot or submitting a generic support ticket,
Oh, the worst.
it only elevates your frustration.
It really does. Isolation amplifies panic. From a biological standpoint, when a person is frustrated and escalating toward that fight or flight state, human contact provides what psychologists call co-regulation.
Co-regulation. Okay, what does that actually mean in this context?
It means hearing a real human voice or interacting with someone who actually acknowledges your specific frustration. It physically calms the nervous system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The document positions human support not just as a nice customer service feature, but as a critical mechanism for keeping the user in a state where learning is actually possible.
So all three of those mechanisms, front-loading the education, ensuring decisions can be undone, and providing actual human interaction, they funnel directly into the creation of the fourth and most crucial standard:
Psychological safety.
psychological safety.
Yes. It is the culmination of the framework. It is the ultimate prerequisite for genuine, deep learning.
Because you can't learn if you're terrified.
Exactly. Going back to our earlier look at the brain's response to stress, you simply cannot think critically, innovate, or build a business if your primary operating mode is panic.
You just can't.
By structurally stripping away the fear of being scammed, the fear of making a fatal error, and the isolation of the digital world, SCH creates a protected environment where the prefrontal cortex can actually do its job.
It gives you the space to breathe before asking you to use your brain.
Beautifully put.
However, this does create an obvious tension that the document has to address.
Right.
Because psychological safety and calm evaluation are fantastic, but eventually this is still about business.
Right. We're not just hanging out.
Exactly. Comfort without action is just an expensive hobby. You can't just evaluate opportunities forever. Eventually, you have to actually build something that generates tangible results.
And the source material is very pragmatic about this transition. The goal of the hub isn't to operate as a permanent support group for digital anxiety.
Okay.
The goal is to move people from a state of overwhelm into capable, independent action. But the sequence of that movement is strictly controlled.
Right. The document outlines a very specific 5-step progression for how they facilitate this movement.
Let's hear it.
The system is designed to help people think clearly, interpret what they are experiencing in the online world, evaluate opportunities properly, avoid emotional traps, and finally, build calmly and realistically.
Now, look at the heavy weighting of that progression.
What do you mean?
Well, the first 4 steps, thinking, interpreting, evaluating, and avoiding traps, they are entirely internal.
Oh, you're right.
They are focused purely on cognitive defense and processing. It is only the fifth and final step, building calmly and realistically, that transitions into external, tangible action.
That's a huge shift.
It is. The system forces you to interpret the noise of the bazaar before it allows you to start building your own stall.
But the obvious mechanical question is, how do they facilitate that final step?
Right, how do you get them off the couch?
Exactly. How do you get someone to move off the comfortable evaluation couch and actually start building without triggering all of that anxiety again? If they just suddenly pivot to a high-pressure sales pitch for a building course, they completely violate the visible integrity they just spent so much time establishing.
And the document handles this transition by acknowledging a fundamental reality of adult learning. At a certain point, unstructured exploration is simply no longer helpful.
Right. You need a map.
Eventually, people require a structured curriculum. Clarity must coalesce into action, and that requires guidance. The text introduces an acronym to solve this, referring to a program called the MA.
The MA.
Yes. Based on the context of the progression, MA functions as their members' academy, or mastery accelerator.
Okay.
It's essentially a structured step-by-step curriculum phase.
And the brilliance is in how the Members Academy is actually positioned.
Huh?
It is explicitly not forced on the user during the evaluation phase. It is quietly foreshadowed as the logical next step once that foundational clarity has been achieved.
Ah, I see.
The system essentially says, take all the time you need to evaluate safely. When you decide you are ready to actually build the infrastructure, we have the exact architectural blueprints waiting for you in the MA.
So it completely respects the user's timeline.
Yes, entirely.
By completely decoupling the evaluation phase from the building phase, they remove the friction. The Members Academy is offered as a tool for execution, not weaponized as an impulse purchase.
Right.
The training wheels only come off when the writer explicitly states they have learned how to balance.
Which brings us to the ultimate message of the SEH framework. The source document ends with a statement designed to be the emotional and psychological landing point for everything we've dissected today.
A great closing note.
It really is. It's addressed directly to you, the person trying to navigate this chaotic digital landscape. I want to read it exactly as it's written because it is incredibly powerful.
Go for it.
It says, if you've been feeling uncertain, overwhelmed, or quietly questioning what you're seeing online, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're probably not behind. You may simply need a calmer and clearer way forward. Welcome to Senior Entrepreneur Hub.
Focus on that one specific sentence. You're probably not behind.
It hits hard, doesn't it?
It really does. In a digital culture that relies on manufacturing the fear of missing out, a culture that constantly screams that you are late to the latest trend, that the algorithm is leaving you in the dust, that the window of opportunity is closing right this very second, to be told by an authority that you are not behind is a radical physiological relief.
It just neutralizes the false urgency completely.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? Reflecting on the mechanics of this entire document, it is genuinely revolutionary to analyze a business model constructed entirely on patience rather than panic.
It gets so rare.
It looks the quiet reality of emotional exhaustion directly in the eye. And instead of exploiting that exhaustion for a quick sale, it engineers an entirely new ecosystem.
Right.
The 4 standards are not just nice ideas. They are functional tools designed to cure the chaos.
It is a complete paradigm shift in how we view digital commerce. And, it leaves me with a thought that fundamentally challenges how we interact with the internet as a whole.
What's that?
Well, if the modern digital world and its algorithms fundamentally thrive on keeping us in a state of constant, panicked urgency just to keep us clicking and buying, is the ultimate act of rebellion simply choosing to slow down and evaluate before we act.
Slowing down as a deliberate act of rebellion against the digital noise.
Exactly.
Refusing to play the game on the terms dictated by those megaphone-wielding merchants. It changes everything about how you look at the landscape.
It puts the power back in your hands.
You are no longer the confused, overwhelmed person dropped onto the hyper-caffeinated trading floor. You are the one person who realizes the chaos is a choice. You can simply step outside the building, find your own quiet patch of dirt, and start planting your garden on a timeline that actually makes sense. We want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the noise, keep evaluating before you act, and above all, keep learning.